Pastor Tara VinCross and our new church plant.
I'm very interested to hear about how Tara has dealt with, I'm guessing, some of the challenges that she's faced along the way, either regarding her own ministry and her calling, whether or not she's dealt with challenges of people doubting her calling, or just as a pastor in general and her ideas of how to lead the church into a better relationship with God. What kind of situations have arisen through that process?
When you first arrived at Chestnut Hill, was the church body unified in accepting your ministry?
I would say it was mixed. There were some people that were extremely warm and welcoming immediately, and there were others that were more reserved and were wondering what was going to happen.
I didn't like the idea, and I didn't want to be here if that was what was going to be going on.
Well, when the conference president recommended that we have a woman minister, I think we were all quite stunned and not necessarily used to that idea. We were fearful. We didn't think that perhaps she could give the type of leadership our church needed. And my husband and I just felt like that we couldn't vote for approval of her being our pastor.
I felt similar the same way because I was raised with a man being a pastor, and I just didn't see it to the point that I was highly upset.
Because this was new. This was something that was a completely different transition.
I thought absolutely not. And I was more worried about the church and myself being involved in infighting. So I wasn't very happy with the prospects of having another war go on, in a church. So I said no.
But God did so many things to really pave the way so that the church knew that this was where God was leading. The head elder here was completely against me coming at first.
Our head elder at that time, Bill Landers, was in a quandary, and he called me and he said, "I don't know what to do." He said, He said, "There's so much infighting. I think what we need to do is we just need to not accept her." And he just didn't want this church to go through a bad time again.
And then God gave him a dream. And in the dream, God said, "Have faith, step forward." He said, "I can't see, it's dark. I don't know where I'm stepping."
He's a Navy man, and in the Navy, when you come down the steps, you come down forward. You don't turn your back and face the steps. And he said he couldn't do it.
God said, "Walk by faith, not by sight."
And then it reminded me of the vision that Ellen White had when they were going up. And they had to leave all their worldly possessions behind. And once they got to the place where they couldn't even step, they had to wait. They couldn't see their feet, couldn't see a trail, and they had to wait for the golden cords so that they could rely upon God and go across.
And he woke up and he said he knew very clearly that I was meant to come and that God was leading him to accept this.
So I said, "Let's do that, Bill." And we did. And we were pretty much just, on faith that God would lead us.
And he preached a sermon on that here. And that was very influential for him and for other leaders. And another part that was really influential was when we came here to interview. It was downstairs in the fellowship hall. We were all meeting there. And after I preached a sermon, after I shared my testimony, and then we started some question and answers. And during that process, we just sensed the Holy Spirit working so clearly. And the church sensed that too, because the vote was overwhelmingly in favor of me coming here. So the Holy Spirit just worked. There were tears. There were people that came up to me and said, "I was fighting against this, but I'm now behind you." And it was amazing to see how God opened the way. And we were really quite united. It was not 100%, but we saw so distinctly how God had paved the way that it was unmistakable.
I was convicted that this lady, when she came here, I was upset. But when I started reading that, the Holy Spirit lead me. I felt like this is not right how I'm feeling. And her sermon I haven't heard nobody preach this way.
The feelings did change once my husband encouraged me to follow the counsel that in the book of Acts, Gamaliel gave to his counterparts, and he said basically that, you know, if this is not of God, then it's not going to prosper. That opened up my heart, and as everyone else has said, it was both the love of Christ manifested in Pastor Tara's life, as well as her passion for evangelism, which for me is very important. That love for souls and getting people to see that vision, that's Christ's vision. And once I saw those things in her, and I knew that God had empowered her to be the leader here.
What has been your experience and your process as time has gone on? It's been now 5 years since Tara VinCross has come to your church.
Pastor Tara, she has so much confidence in me, and she's willing to teach us up to discipleship. She took us way up in the mountains somewhere for a weekend and helped us to find out just who we are. You know, I mean, if we could just come together and quit fussing about what God have in mind, you know, we need to come together and support. God is the one that is leading her, and she leading us.
What changed was her beautiful personality, and I think the greatest treasure that Tara VinCross has brought to our congregation is her great relationship with Jesus Christ. It permeates her whole being. When people meet her and her smile and her warmth, it's often spoken of that she has a personal relationship with Jesus, and it permeates into our congregation and reflects on all of us.